This is John Howell Essential Cuts, your daily rundown of the best from today's show on 890 WLS.
Well, it's pretty clear, and this is in the latest national press profile on our governor, J.B. Pritzker, that if needed, if asked to serve the Democratic Party, he will, in fact, run for president, and he'll be self-financed, despite what he said during a debate last year.
Will you commit to serving a full term if reelected? 30 seconds, sir.
I intend to serve 4 years more as governor and get reelected, and I intend to support the president. He's running for reelection.
My old friend Paul Lisnek is a political analyst over there at Channel 9. Paul, welcome back to Double Dallas. How are you, sir?
Big John, always good to talk to you.
Always great to talk to you. I want to hear about the Lori Lightfoot interview that we can watch Sunday morning. But first, your thoughts on J.B. Pritzker's a little sly there. Now, we knew that this was in the works previously, but as we get closer to decision time, is he one of the few Democrats that if Biden, for one reason or another one, stepped away from re-election, that he would be able to self-finance and say, I'm ready to go?
Well, yes, he is one of the few that can do it. From my reporting, I can tell you that, first of all, the people who think he wants to be president, oh, maybe he doesn't. No, he does. That's been pretty clear. And I think in some ways he might have even been just beginning to maybe make some steps in that direction. Who knows what's going to happen. He has backed away from all of that. So I think he's comfortable now with the fact that Biden is going to be the guy. But you are right. I think if anything happens, well, let's put it this way. If something happens where Biden decides to step out for whatever reason, I think Pritzker goes in, but of course Gavin Newsom will be in there before Pritzker ever gets there, I think.
Yeah. Well, Newsom doesn't have the kind of coin that Pritzker has.
He doesn't, but he's much more present now on the national scene, putting himself out there. He just on Sean Hannity's show did an interview with Sean and wants to debate Ron DeSantis. DeSantis the other night accepted the debate. So that's all for show, but it does put Newsom then on more of that national stage. And, that's what I think he's desiring to do right now.
I think that's going to be must-see TV. Hannity will be the moderator, but I'm sure Newsom insisted on this, no live audience.
Well, you know what? If you watch the Trump interview on CNN, right, when he did that town hall thing, that was exactly the way not to do a town hall event. And because it was a totally pro-Trump audience. And I understand all of that. I get what's behind it. But, I think it's tough, even to the moderator, to whatever, you're trying to get, information out. And I think having that kind of support is probably not the best way to go. But, Bobby Kennedy Jr. did one on News Nation, and the audience there was one, far more neutral, and I think that just made it easier and better watching.
Yeah, I know that the TV guys want great TV, okay?
Sure.
Even at, I understand that the CNN defended Caitlin Collins after that and said she did the best she could, but it was very, very, it was great TV. I guess from that perspective, it was more like a circus. But I think that Newsom, and I think this is smart for any politician, especially if Sean Hannity's going to be the moderator. Sean, I would assume, is going to be much more, friendlier to DeSantis. But you say, okay, no audience. I can handle that. I mean, I can take on you and DeSantis, no problem. Also, we're not going to pre-tape it. We're going to do it live.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And also what Hannity said he would do would be that this is what he said to I think it was to Newsom, where he said, look, I'm going to simply say the word economy, and you guys say what you want to about the economy. So I think that was, Hannity's way of saying, I'm not going to side with anybody. I'm literally going to let you guys put your views out. Now, I don't know how much you trust that as an approach, but it's inviting if that's what he really does. And people of course, you also have to step back and go, why are we having a debate between Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom? What is going on here? But, of course, everybody thinks DeSantis is somewhere in the wings if something happens for Donald Trump to bow out. I don't think the numbers put DeSantis in that position anymore. I think he was there, but not so much anymore. But, again, Gavin Newsom may be in a position to step in.
Who's a better retail politician, Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Gavin Newsom or Ron DeSantis.
Well, I think we know the answer.
Finish the question.
I think we know the answer to that one.
I think Pritzker, I think probably Newsom, he has that sort of young, I almost want to say Kennedy-esque way about him. I think J.B. Pritzker is a likable guy. He's just not known at this stage on the national way that I even think Gavin Newsom has. But, of course, Gavin Newsom just went through a recall, so he's got some baggage. But, Pritzker is absolutely above water in his numbers. And, I think I don't know that he would win, but, I think it would be an interesting run to have him step in if that were to happen. But he certainly is not going to step in with Joe Biden in the race. That I can promise you.
I want to get back to that, but I want to go to DeSantis. He's obviously a very, very smart guy. He also has a pretty good conservative record to run on out of Florida, if not a very good one. Do you think he's just, in the words of political consultants, just charismatically challenged?
He is charismatically challenged. But the other thing is, and again, I don't know how much he's being advised to do, but a lot of his policies, as you know, he can't go 20 minutes without saying the word woke and whatever, and that's fine for a certain level of the base. But I think in some respects, he also has to – I know early now everybody wants the Trump vote. It's sort of amazing at all these people except for Christie and Asa Hutchinson. Nobody goes after Trump. And it's like, but wait a minute, you want to be president. So how do you be president without going after, the guy at the top? We know the answer to that. They don't want to lose his base. But I think DeSantis's policies and even the recent one with the report that suggested, and I know it's 200 pages and one line in the report, according to Guy Benson, who made that comment on Fox. But the whole notion that that the slaves got something out of slavery when they got out, and trying to minimize that, when you see pretty much all the African members of Congress going, dude, do not go there, and DeSantis still trying to justify it. At some point you have to say there's nothing wrong with standing up and saying, look, I'm still an independent in my thinking, and this is my view on it, and try and speak the comments that most people who will be voting would want to hear. I think it was a mistake for him to support that.
Well, was it a mistake for him to base his candidacy on running to the right of Trump? He's waiting for Jack Smith or something else to happen, then he can keep that base and expand on it with a good resume. But to run to the right of Trump, that seems like a very short trail that ends in a dead end.
I think you're right, and that's the problem. Is let's say he pulls it off, and Trump is taken out for whatever reason, and Ron DeSantis gets the nod. He is so far to the right that now, if he were to find himself in a general election, and you know John better than anybody, every single candidate shifts to the center. You have no choice but to shift to the center. Well, it's one thing to be right of center and kind of shift over a little bit, and people know what you're doing. But when you're really going with the policies that DeSantis has been, touting for so long now and implementing in Florida, it's going to be tough for him to wake up and say, no, it's okay, independents and unhappy Biden supporters, I'm the guy that you want. That's going to be a really tough sell because unfortunately, we have something called videotape that will show us exactly what you said you never said, and you did what you said you never did, and we can see it now.
Paul Lisnek is here. All right, back to Biden. How much of a concern should all this Hunter Biden noise be for Joe Biden's reelection campaign?
Well, there's two answers. There's the legal answer and there's the political answer. The legal answer is there does not seem to be anything that ties Joe Biden to whatever his son is doing. Did his son do bad things? Yes. Did his son probably break the law in a variety of ways? Probably yes. Might his son go to jail for some reason? Perhaps yes. But that's the legal analysis of what Hunter Biden has done. The political piece of this, which has really been in the hands of, the Jim Jordans and members of the House, they have absolutely blurred the line between Hunter Biden and Joe Biden so that all of a sudden this description of the Biden crime family and all this kind of thing, which I think in many ways is designed to lift some attention off the pressure on the Trump side, but I think they're trying to tie it to Biden in ways that I don't really think, and this is back to the legal, that are legitimate legally. But it works because their voices are strong, their voices are loud. Republicans are much better than Democrats in terms of playing that game. And what I love about it is how people like Trump talk about how great the Democrats are at playing the game and the Republicans are terrible. And that's just rhetoric, because the bottom line is nobody can spin something like Republicans can. Even now, what are you getting on the Trump defense? You're getting Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham. All of a sudden, we're starting to get the language, which is all he did was take lawyers' advice. And by the way, juries hate Trump. All of this is a setup for what's going to happen potentially 6 or 7 months from now, and it's going to build in the rhetoric. In
the radio business, when you get a competitor or an enemy, whatever, you just muddy the waters as much as you can.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it's the whataboutism, John. It's the whataboutism.
What about? They do it too.
Look, we were on the air live doing all the Trump hearings this week, as WGN does. And what kind of social media comments do you think I'm getting afterwards? Why didn't you talk about Biden? Why didn't you talk about Hunter? And I responded going, because maybe that's not the news today.
No, yeah, it's not the news
today.
That's
why.
when my listeners complain about me not giving Hunter Biden equal time, I say I'm waiting for him to be indicted or something to move the needle regarding a news pivot. Once that happens, I'll be glad to talk about it. Now, let's talk about, are you guys day drinking on Sunday morning at 9 a.m.?
No, we've done the interview. So we've already went to a bar in the North Halstead area, and I ordered my Barbie frozen drink, which was pink in color. And I said to her, would you like one of these Barbie frozen drinks? And her answer was, hell no. And she, of course, had a beer because that's what she prefers. And we sat down with camera crew watching and recorded the conversation that she has not had, certainly since she's left office. I don't know really of any that certainly length interviews she's done since. And we had a half an hour to pretty much walk through everything. So my producer has blown everything else out of the show for Sunday to basically give the entire show to the Lightfoot interview. And I was watching it today as we put it together. I think it's good. I think people are going to like it. I
at any point,
talk. I don't attack her.
Yeah. Well, at any point does she quote the Frank Sinatra song, "Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention"?
Well, first of all, I do know she's not thrilled to be asked, like, what regrets do you have from being in office? Because that's just, what did you miss? What did you miss? We absolutely talk about crime. We absolutely talk about, look, I looked ahead to the Kim Foxx departure from office and her thoughts on that. We talk about the police superintendent. But I think the question that is totally worth tuning in for, if nothing else, she talks about the Chicago Bears. I asked her about that and whether or not she thinks they'll stay in Chicago. But then I had a sip of my drink to give myself a little boost, and I said, now I've got to ask you the question that I needed a drink to ask you. If the Bears move out of Chicago, are you giving up your season's tickets? And, of course, I was half humorous in doing it, but she took it seriously and really had to ponder the answer. It's interesting when viewers watch that.
Only Sunday at 9 a.m., or does it replace at other points?
It replays at the very convenient time of 1:30 a.m. on Sunday night for those people who can't go to sleep or who have to wake up to start driving the truck somewhere.
All right. And it'll be up on the website, I assume, after the broadcast.
It will be. In fact, my producer said she's absolutely going to post the entire interview on the web so people can access it that way as well.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll poach a little bit of that for Monday's show.
I hope you do.
Okay. Paul, what is
use my questions? You don't need to have her answers. Just use my questions.
Paul, I think we've heard enough from you. What's the latest presidential memorabilia that you've acquired?
What did I do? Actually, this is kind of this isn't a memorabilia answer because I'm drawing a blank, but I will tell you this. I interviewed Pritzker a couple of weeks ago, and I did it on Zoom from my library from home. And as we finished, he goes, what is all that stuff behind you? Well, it turns out he's a collector too. So we talked about some of mine, and I'm trying to get him to give me some of his. So I'll let you know what happens.
What's that old Chris Christopherson song? You show me mine, I'll show you yours.
Yeah, right. Is that what he was talking about, the historical documents?
I think he was, yeah. Paul, thanks so much. We'll be watching Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for the Lightfoot interview and watching you sipping your Barbie drink, and have a great weekend.
You're listening to John Howell, Essential Cuts on 890 WLS.
All right, it's a story that broke around the time of the arraignment of Trump yesterday, so it was buried. We lost it. It got overshadowed. But 2 U.S. Navy sailors are now in federal custody accused of being spies for China. Let's welcome Alex Stone. He's watching this story. He is in Los Angeles. Alex, who are they and what's the latest?
Yeah, so a pretty incredible story here. The 2 Navy sailors, one Jin-Cho Wei, 22 years old, is stationed in the San Diego area, accused of espionage and charged with crimes rarely used that found guilty can come with a life sentence. And then 26-year-old Wenheng Zhao from the L.A. area, charged with conspiracy and not espionage itself, but some things that are related to it. Both are accused of sending secret military information to China. 2 separate cases, very similar in what they're accused, one more higher extent than the other, Wei allegedly doing more. But they allegedly worked with Chinese handlers to send encrypted data back to the People's Republic, and Deputy Attorney General Matt Olson making the announcement.
These individuals stand accused of violating rules that protect the United States and ensure that those who are entrusted with our national security do not abuse their positions for any reason, including for personal profit.
So Wei is assigned to the USS Essex in San Diego. That's the home port of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, at least the surface vessels, not necessarily the submarines, but the headquarters for the ships. Zhao works at Naval Base Ventura County. Both were born in China. Wei allegedly agreed to spy for money when he was approached by a Chinese handler while applying to become a U.S. citizen. He's only been a U.S. citizen for a year, was already in the military for about that same amount of time, and had access, allegedly, to this stuff, been passing it back to the PRC, and Wei's the one facing the espionage, and U.S. Attorney Randy Grossman in San Diego saying
statutes reserved for the most serious circumstances involving the passage of national defense information intended to harm the United States or for the benefit of a foreign power. The fact that we've charged it in this case in San Diego is a reflection of the seriousness of Wei's alleged conduct.
They allege that these two men were separately passing back troop and ship movements, where our Pacific Fleet is and then where each individual ship is, details on exercises in the Indo-Pacific region, ship blueprints, info on U.S. radar sites in Japan and where they are and what they can do, long list of other things. So serious charges here. Pretty incredible that, first of all, two pretty new members of the military had access to all this stuff, and somebody who just became a U.S. citizen from China a year ago had access to all of this, but that's what they're alleging.
Do we know, allegedly, how much money they received from the Chinese?
Yeah, not a ton. You would think that being a spy, that you would get millions of dollars. One $5,000, the other $15,000.
Wow. And the one that's the one who is lighter charged, are they? I assume they're trying to roll him as a witness.
Possibly, we don't know, and try to out anybody else. The belief would be that there are others who, China or Russia or anybody, that they've been able to infiltrate in some way, and all NCIS and the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office, they will only say that they are actively working this right now, that this shows you that China is infiltrating early on. They've got spy handlers who are contacting new recruits into branches of the military, in this case, those who were born in China, one who just recently became a U.S. citizen, to try to bring them into this. The other thing that it shows, we asked Daryl Blocker, who's was a CIA intelligence officer, kind of sneaky Pete around the globe, now an ABC News analyst here. We said, what does this mean to you? He told us,
as long as they're stealing from us, it's tacit admission that they're still in catch-up mode, meaning we are still far advanced to them, and they have to come steal our secrets.
They were allegedly using encrypted communications and then deleting those communications, but the U.S. was able to intercept them. Both of these guys were in federal court yesterday, initial appearances. They will remain in custody. They're going to have a detention hearing or two different detention hearings next week to decide on will they be offered bail. One of them in court actually was still in military garb when he made his appearance, in military boots and kind of camouflage or green pants. So this is all very fresh. They're trying to figure out exactly what it was, how deep it went, and try to uncover it all.
Any response from China?
No, they haven't responded at all. We wouldn't expect that they would, and if they will say anything, probably not.
We can expect 2 arrests of American citizens in China imminently?
In what way?
Just because
in reaction?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, quite possibly.
Any idea, have your sources told you how long that we were onto these guys?
Not how long ago they were tipped off to them. We know that this had been going on, both of them, for about a year. That it appears that they were spying, and that allegedly, and that China had been able to get them on board, even to the point where when Wei became a U.S. citizen, the allegation is that his Chinese spy handler reached out to him to congratulate him on becoming a U.S. citizen, and that they had the communication then, and that Wei admitted in that communication that he is now a spy working for the U.S. government but turning on the U.S. government. So at some point in the last year or so, the U.S. government was able to see what they were doing. But was it a tip? Was it communication that we were able to intercept and then knew something was going on? That we don't know.
Well, this episode, or some facsimile of it, will show up in the next Brad Thor novel.
That is true. Or Jason Bourne movie or any of those, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Alex. Have a great weekend.
You too. Have a great weekend.
This is John Howell Essential Cuts on 890 WLS.
Tonight, the League's Cup continues as our Fire take on Club América, 7 o'clock, back in Bridgeview for this match. And you can watch via MLS Season Pass. And let's welcome expert Keith Costigan. He is an MLS season pass play-by-play announcer, played professionally with Portland and also for Harrisburg. He's one of the best in the business, got some Emmys up there on the mantle. He spent 7 years as the voice of the Seattle Sounders, and he's originally from Dublin, Ireland. Keith, welcome to the Big 89. How are you?
I'm good, and I love that welcome. I forgot I had Emmys, so I'm glad that you brought that up.
I was at a retirement party for a longtime journalist a couple weeks ago, and he brought all of his Emmys, and he put them on a table, and he had a bunch of them. His name is Mike Flannery, Irishman, and his name is Mike Flannery, and I asked his wife, I said, are those for the guests? Like, can I take one of those home? And she said, no, we brought them as part of Mike's retirement party. I said, you should put those behind glass. Those are coveted.
Well, I can tell you I have no idea where mine are, but
really?
I appreciate you bringing them up, yes.
You know, I hear that from actors, and musicians. I mean, significant musicians who have won Grammys, but not a ton. A couple of Grammys here and there. And they tell me as well, it's like, well, I'm not quite sure where it is. Is that true?
I mean, for me, it was like when I got them, I was in the process of a move. So I just think within that move, it's like, where do I want to put these? I don't want to be arrogant and put them out. So within that process, they've disappeared on me, I think.
There's I can't tell you who it is, but some big Hollywood actor or actress said just put them in the bathroom.
I like that idea.
So tonight, give us kind of a preview of the Fire taking on Club America. Do we have a chance?
Yeah, I think, of course, you have a chance. You look at the former Chicago Fire coming into this tournament, 5 wins out of 6, unbeaten in the group stage. I know you lost on penalties, but the issue is, look, it's a home game for Chicago, but we all know Club America's fan base in Chicago is massive. So even though Chicago's at home, Club America will have more fans in the stadium. Club America are coming off a defeat, so you'd imagine they're going to go back to their strongest lineup. It is going to be incredibly difficult because Club America, budget-wise, just spends so much more money on their squad than any team in MLS. But on any given day, anybody can beat anybody, and I think Chicago Fire's form, the way Frank Lopez has the team playing, gives them a chance. Now, I'm not putting money on it, but I'm saying there's a chance.
What makes the Leagues Cup, in particular, such a unique tournament?
I mean, for me, it's just the fact that you have two rival leagues coming together for bragging rights. You have some of the very best in Liga MX. You have Club America, you have Leon, you have Monterrey coming over here and giving our MLS sides the chance to go head-to-head. So tonight, for me, encapsulates what Leagues Cup is all about. Chicago Fire having a good run of form in playoff positions, but this is a real test. This is a test against a team that has won 7 CONCACAF titles. Club America, you could argue, are still the cream of the crop in this region, and that's why you set up a Leagues Cup. You want your teams to get those opportunities. Tonight's going to be a massive one. I hope the Fire fans that come, soak up the atmosphere because it's going to be pretty incredible at SeaTac Stadium.
Messi, is he as great of an athlete in his sport as Michael Jordan was in his?
Oh, you know what? I love Michael Jordan, so he's the one that, for me, transcended everything. I grew up in Ireland, but I knew who Michael Jordan was. I think if you go anywhere in the world, you say Messi, that's all you need to say. Messi. Everybody knows who you're talking about. The way he came in, I'm actually annoyed at myself because I was saying, he's going to take time when he gets to MLS. It'll take a game or two to get ready, and he just hits the ground running. Yeah, I think when you're looking at players that have the ability to transcend their sport all over the world into corners where it maybe wouldn't have gone before, I think you talk about MJ, and you talk now certainly about Lionel Messi as well. We're privileged to have him. I'm not quite sure if he's going to be in Chicago at some stage this year. I would recommend, if he is, any fan get there and watch him because he's a competitor too, like MJ. Very different personalities when you see them or in interviews, etc. But they're both absolute competitors, and it's a great comparison, really. They're both, the very top of their sports.
You played this sport professionally. You've loved it your entire life. You watch it and call the matches now. Pound for pound, are soccer athletes the best of any sport? I mean, just as far as a fitness level?
You know what? I find that one a really difficult one because I respect all the sports. I mean, I look at basketball. I mean, when you're 6'10", 6'11", and you've got to sprint up and down the court for 48 minutes, I look at, maybe this is a sneaky one that you haven't thought about, but have you ever watched rugby I mean, Ireland rugby team is incredible. They play for 80 minutes, and they are absolute beasts. I mean, some of these guys are NFL player size, and there's no timeouts. It's constant. So, look, I'm not going to come out here and say, you know, other athletes in other sports, you know, aren't at the very top of their game. I know you don't want me to sit on the fence, but I would definitely throw in rugby players there as well in terms of the very elite athletes and maybe the top athletes of any sport.
Do you like that Ted Lasso show?
Oh, of course. Did you enjoy it more to the point?
Well, I haven't watched all of them. I watched 2 or 3 episodes with my wife, and I laughed. I thought it was funny. Well,
you know what I like about it? It is a soccer show, sure, but it's a people show. So it's trying to show you that you treat people right, you respect people, you'll get good things from them. So look, as a soccer guy, you know, I'm looking at it and going, come on, this guy doesn't know about soccer, but that's okay. It's not meant to be about that. If I'm sitting down and looking for a little bit of entertainment, I certainly enjoyed it for sure.
And as a native from Dublin, have you ever made it all the way through Dubliners by James Joyce or any James Joyce book?
You've called me out here. I hope there's no Irish listeners. I have not. So I apologize for that. And if I'm letting down my culture, my country, I apologize. I have not. But
well, I haven't either. I keep trying. I keep trying. I can't get through it. I don't understand it. I'm sorry. I can't wrap my head around any of those novels.
Welcome to having a conversation with any really intelligent Irish person. You walk away saying, what have I don't get it, I don't understand it. And that's basically what you're getting with a James Joyce book.
Yeah. And what's your favorite Irish band?
The Dubliners. I mean, class act. I know they tour over here a lot. I know they've been actually in Chicago a few times. Yeah. But just if you want proper Irish music, proper sing-along, I mean, you can't go beyond the Dubliners.
I concur with that. Well, thanks so much. Nice meeting you. I hope we'll have you back on the program again.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to John Howell, Essential Cuts on 890 WLS.
Let's invite an expert back to the program. She works just down the hall from us at Q101. She has 1 million listeners or so. Just another day at the office for her. And she has tens of millions on social media. She's an expert, unlike me, obviously. Took a good shot there guessing that band. But Lauren O'Neill is here. Actually, full disclosure, man behind the curtain. We taped this a couple days ago, and I had asked her at that time, will give us a preview of Saturday and Sunday for perhaps one of my listeners, not likely, maybe their kids or grandkids on their way to Lollapalooza. So I said, all right, well, if you had to pick Saturday or Sunday, Lauren O'Neill, which day or which acts would you choose?
You can't tell me to pick one day. It's like picking my favorite kid if I had more than one.
Just take then the best acts on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Start your day out with Chicago's own Friday Pilots Club. They'll start off at 12:15 Saturday.
How long are these sets?
It depends. Earlier in the day, they're going to be shorter. So they've got a 45-minute long set, but then your headliners can go for an hour and a half.
If Farrell joins them, God knows how long it's going to go.
then they can do whatever they want.
Right, okay. Got it.
I highly recommend on Saturday the Linda Lindas, Windsor, the Knox, Sylvanesso, Gene Dawson, the Revivalists, Maggie Rogers, and Odessa.
Is Maggie Rogers the daughter of Kenny Rogers? Do we know?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. We'll check on that.
It's possible.
So over the weekend, a great lineup. Sunday,
let's start your day off with Upsall. She's incredible. She was at Lolla a couple years ago. Super nice girl. She takes the Bud Light stage at 1:15, followed by Bakar. You've got Chicago's own Dead, Mount Joy. We've got the Backseat Lovers. And then your headliners, I'm picking between Lana Del Rey and the Chili Peppers.
Who are you going to go see?
I got to run in between the two stages. So
How far are they?
It's like 3 city blocks.
So the music from one stage doesn't interfere with the next stage?
Definitely not. Right. But you got to get your cardio in to be prepared to.
The Chili Peppers, how old are those guys now? Ballpark.
Late 50s.
Really? That old?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And they still play shirtless.
Yeah.
And they
really?
still rock.
That's not good.
It's fine.
There's only one man in America that can go shirtless on a
John Howell.
No, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
Oh, really?
Nobody else. Lauren, thank you very much. Conserve your energy. We'll be listening next week for your reviews of all these shows, and thanks for stopping by.
This is John Howell Essential Cuts on 890 WLS.
Andrea Darlas joins us now on Double Dallas. Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I love that. I'm waiting for you to finish the song.
Well, you can have that.
Entertaining.
You can have that. I offered for, Bill Cameron. His show is called Take One. I offered him an updated version of Take Five. He could utilize that if he wanted to. I'll leave this for you. If you want to use it, fine. If not, I'll play it every time we talk on this program.
I love it. I'm in.
Okay. Next time I will not step all over Chris Christopherson. He's a crusty old man now. And, he got into it with Toby Keith backstage once because Toby's very conservative and Chris famously, let's say, somewhat left of center. And those two guys almost came to blows backstage at some point. I probably would have put the good money on Toby since he's much younger, much bigger. But still, Chris Christopherson doesn't back down. All right. So
no, not at all. In fact, let me just tell you real quick. I'm a huge old country fan. Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. My dad was not a concert guy per se. Willie Nelson was the only concert that he would go to every time Willie came through Poplar Creek or Alpine Valley.
On the Mount Rushmore of American music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down.
All right. So this Sunday, 5 o'clock, Show and Tell will be on. Understand you are going to feature the return of Greektown?
Oh, this is outstanding. So Greek Fest every year, John, is in Greektown, right on Halstead Street between Van Buren and Monroe, and they have different foods and vendors and Greek dancing, and they have something that I'm not going to nominate you for this, but just keep this in mind for next year. It's called a gyros eating contest.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I did that many years ago. I was in a hot dog eating contest. I won, by the way, but I was sick for 3 days. That's the extent of my food contests.
How many hot dogs did you eat? I'm just curious.
I don't recall, but it was a long contest, like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something. It was stupid to get involved in it, stupid to participate, stupid to promote, and it was not a very exciting contest whatsoever. It was years and years ago. I'm done with food competition.
Right.
Here's what I do.
Eat to enjoy.
I eat to live. I don't live to eat. That's what you got to have the mindset. You eat to live. Don't live to eat.
Yeah, you know what? That needs to be my mantra because I'm enjoying a lot of these festivals way too much lately. Just not for the liquor portion, for the food portion. If I was 21 years old, I'd be in it, for the alcohol. Now, it's all about the food for me, and a nice big glass of water or iced tea to chug it down with.
So, running through August 20th, I guess it opens on the 10th. The Producers returns. Is this the Mel Brooks Producers?
Yes. This is the Mel Brooks one, John, and this is at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts. Work Music Theater is hosting it at the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts, which we also feature them on the podcast this week. I don't even want to call this a hidden gem anymore because it's in Skokie, right off 94, right by Old Orchard Mall. Free parking. You can't beat this. This is a modern, redone venue, and they're showing the producers just through for about two weeks. I think it's 11 days that they're performing. This is a must-see. And in talking with, I talked with the actor who plays Leo Bloom. Remember, it was Bialystock and Bloom, the Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick. They brought it to Broadway. So the man who plays Leo Bloom, he's from Elk Grove Village, so he's a local guy coming home to put this on stage. This is hilarious. And they're introducing this. John, you and I know the producers. We know the movie Zero Mostel. But this is a whole new generation who's seeing the producers for the very first time. Highly, highly entertaining. And seeing it in this venue with about 800 people, this is the perfect venue to see this play because it's just – and it's still – it holds the test of time. A lot of things don't transcend through time, but the producers absolutely does.
But, Mel Brooks, do they edit some of Mel's original verbiage out of these new productions? Do you know?
Say that again, John?
Do they edit for our political lens of 2023?
No, and that was one of the questions I asked him, too, because, and this isn't giving anything away, but they do a musical.
Right. Springtime.
God, I don't want Springtime for Hitler, right. They still do it. And he said, and that was one of the first things he said, too. He said, we are in an era right now where things have to be PC, and you want to make sure everything is in line with the values of today's society. Let's just put it like that. And they keep it in, and they handle it very nicely. It's still hilarious. I mean, that's the whole point of the producers, is that they're trying to put on this. They're trying to put on a musical they want to fail. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's just, this is one of those shows where you don't stop laughing from the time you sit in your seat and they come on stage. It's one of the funniest musicals. And I say that on the show too, and on the podcast. It's truly one of the funniest, if not the funniest musical I've ever seen in my life.
But, I was, I wonder if Blazing Saddles could be remade with the same script nowadays. Probably not. Similarly, I was interviewing Billy Bob Thornton once after he had he put out an album, and then we were talking about his movie career. And I think his rendition of Bad News Bears is hysterical. But I asked him,
do too.
I think it's really a great movie. It's just hysterical. But I said, the original was Walter Matthau, and I forgot the young lady's name. I forgot who.
Was it Tatum O'Neal?
Yes, Tatum O'Neal. And you go back and watch that original, and I said, I noticed that you edited. You took a lot of things out that Walter Matthau had said that you were not going to say. And he goes, well, it's kind of a different movie anyway. But, we stayed completely away from that for obvious reasons. And that was probably 15 years ago, and things have evolved since.
Right. And, again, the funny part, the best part of the Bad News Bears was Walter Matthau and Tatum O'Neal and that relationship, that father-daughter relationship where he's giving her a hard time. But, I don't know if today you could keep that script and stay true to it. There'd have to be some alterations or some changes. But according to, like I said, the actor who plays Leo Bloom, they stick very close to it.
Okay, in our remaining moments, and we're talking with Andrea Darlas, host of Show and Tell, Sundays at 5. What is this experimental shop and play retailer camp in Lincoln Park?
Oh, my gosh. This is a brand new interactive. We have a lot of these pop-ups. Like I've talked with you before, John, about Mozart immersive and Van Gogh immersive. This isn't, and Harry Potter was another one that was right downtown at the old water tower. This is called Camp, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Remember how we would go to camp, as kids? They'd send us away. We'd make s'mores, make friends for the week. That is, because a lot of kids don't go to camp today. This is an immersive experience called Camp. It's in Lincoln Park. Kids go, they can paint, they can draw, they can roast s'mores. It's so cool. It is so incredibly cool. And they do a little bit modern of a take on it. Let me just say that there is slime involved.
Okay, slime. That's always popular with the kids.
Very cool. Very family friendly. Something definitely to do with the kids.
All right, Andrea, we'll be listening Sunday at 5. Thanks for your time. Are you going to Lala tomorrow and Sunday both, or just tonight?
Yeah, you know what? I was offered to go to Lala last night, and I found out that you can stream it on Hulu. So that's exactly what I did last night. I watched Billie Eilish in her Michael Jordan Bulls jersey on Hulu. And
how many times have you been there?
Too.
How many times have you gone?
Do you want to laugh? I have never been inside of Lollapalooza. I've interviewed. I've done, the post and the pre and post interviews. I used to live in the South Loop, so I would hear it, through my windows. But I've never physically been inside the complex.
I used to live at the corner of Michigan and Randolph, overlooking, Pritzker Pavilion and that direction towards into Grant Park. And I heard a lot of Lala for a few years, about 5 years.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Maybe I'll go Sunday to see the Chili Peppers. I don't know. The jury's still out on that, though. If it rains, nah.
Final question. Should those guys still be performing shirtless?
That would be a big no.
Thank you. All right, well, have a great weekend, Andrea Darlas. Appreciate it.
You want to play golf, John? I love you. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
John Howell, Essential Cuts. Check back every weekday for another episode of John Howell, Essential Cuts on 890 WLS.